Hey, it is Thursday, November 3rd. We have a special guest. We're going to have Steve Greenfield maybe read the news today. We're also going to talk about the Auto Venture Intel report and virtual reality goggles that you keep on while you're driving the car.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is.
Don't
Why are you
mess
driving
with
the car?
People. Don't mess with the people. Why
No,
are you
we're going to
driving
mess
the
with
car?
the people.
Don't you messing with the people.
Well,
Someone else is driving.
all right, while
You're
you're
like, while
riding
I'm
in
driving
the
the
car.
car, this is going to be the coolest thing. How's everyone else going to do?
Well, pretty much when you drive around right now and you look around at the driver looks like this. Hunk.
Right.
Right. So maybe it'd be better if
they
they had VR goggles on while they were driving, if it gave them an accurate representation of what's in the road. Let's bring Steve Greenfield into the show. Let's not wait till his segment. What is going on, my friend?
Hey guys, howdy.
Howdy.
So,
So Steve, but before we got on, you got to let the people know what you did yesterday, because I think this is like, every once in a while you do one of those things that you didn't realize was on your bucket list, but all of a sudden you just throw it on there because you did it yesterday. You did something kind of crazy in the flight pattern yesterday.
Crazy, but it wasn't on my bucket list. I don't recommend it for anyone else's bucket list. For the record. No, as Kyle said, I flew into Las Vegas for a dinner. So I literally got off the plane and took a taxi to the Bellagio Prime Steak. And then when I was finished, I hopped into a taxi, went back to the airport, hopped on a flight, and flew home.
Right.
and he didn't even have dinner with anybody. He just really wanted to go eat there.
Yeah, dinner by myself.
Hey, look, that's a good dinner to go to. At least you weren't like, we're going to go to In-N-Out Burger and just, do business.
This is fair.
So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through, usually we bring you in when it's time for you to talk about the Intel report, but we wanted to keep you involved in the story. We only have one story, and then we'll talk about the Intel report. So feel free to interrupt and do all the things that Kyle and I usually do with one another. So here it is. The tech entertainment company founded by Audi named HollowRide has since spun off as its own company and is now planning a 2023 rollout for its in-vehicle entertainment system, according to Automotive News. Audi announced their partnership to create HollowRide-ready vehicles at South by Southwest this year, and the system will be available by 2023 in Europe. If you're just listening to the podcast, basically you put this headset on like a VR headset, and it follows the dynamics of the car. The car is feeding it information as far as how fast it's going, which way it's turning. And so as you look around in the VR world, you actually feel the motion and you feel the interaction, and you can in some of the videos that you probably saw if you're watching, but if you're not, you can
wasn't she just in the driver's seat? Wasn't she in the driver's seat?
No,
Gotta be in the passenger seat.
Passenger seat, right. Actually in the back seat. Porsche. So here's the deal. Porsche is also developing experiences around the tech. And if you go to their LA Experience Center, you can actually be taken for a spin around a track while you kind of are playing a first person shooter game, shooting, I think it's bugs. You shoot some
pedestrians.
No shooting pedestrians. You can turn them from birds into skeletons, according to one of the videos that we saw.
And then shoot them.
It always ends that way, right? You need the points.
Be weird. Like you just look over, right? You look over and someone's like, it's like duck hunting in a car.
That's going to work. I don't know really well.
Have either of you ever put a VR, like PlayStation VR and played?
I haven't done it.
Yeah, I get dizzy.
Okay. Have you ever done that though?
Do it. Yeah, I get dizzy.
It's surprisingly immersive when you put it on. I can't imagine doing it in a car, but on one of the videos, we linked them up in the show notes, and one of the videos, I think it was the developer from Porsche said, and it helps to alleviate symptoms of motion sickness. And I was thinking just the opposite. And when he said it, I was like, I don't think he really believes what he just said.
There is no way. Anyone with vertigo is literally chunking their cookies.
Maybe it alleviates road rage because I can shoot the other cars.
There you go.
No, see, now we're talking augmented reality. It just the whole world turns into some Grand Theft Auto playback.
Honestly, it feels very as I'm watching the videos and as I'm thinking about it, if you've been to Disney World and you've gone through the things where you go through and you got the little gun and you're playing Buzz Lightyear or whatever, that's kind of what it feels like to me. So it's not an altogether departure from game mode of the way that you would expect it, but I
Feels
just
weird,
can't
right?
imagine. It's hard enough for me, like when we throw in a DVD, like pop in a DVD for the kids, we go on vacation, right? It's hard enough not like getting them to ask to do that every time we hit the road, right? Let
Oh, yeah.
alone them knowing the potential of like throwing one of those guys on the way to Walmart on Tuesday is an option. That would just destroy the, every
Well,
car
look,
ride.
maybe if
Gone.
you deploy the technology at the right time and don't let the kids know what it is, and you go on a big 2-hour drive, maybe you could actually convince them they went to Disney.
Ooh.
And then you're just home. Like, there you go. You just went to Disney and now you're
Cheaper
home.
vacations. I like it.
Very cheap.
I mean,
remember what was happening with the Wii remotes when people were doing the bowling and they were throwing remotes and breaking the TV?
Or spraining their
You know-
their arms.
Yeah, I'm just wondering,
Shit
like, I know these do come with the safety tether strap, but I have kids and I can
someone's
just
straight up
imagine if you
breaking
only
through
have
a
one.
glass.
It's
Someone's
done.
trying to break through a glass.
It's dead. Someone's like punching stuff.
I get this convergence. It's South by Southwest is the relaunch, like the convergence of pop culture and automotive, and trying to make the car like an extension of an experience. It just, to me, like, I just think there's so many more things that could be done with technology right now. It's
an entertainment company. And if you look at the Porsche video, the person was kind of like moving through, it would look kind of like a space city as he's in the car. And it was Porsche branded. It was pretty cool. Like, I was like, oh, okay, maybe there's an element. One thing that you can also do, you can also view media from your phone on the device with the perceived 180-degree screen. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's coming out and we'll see what people think about it. Not too long. Speaking of hearing what people think about things.
Stop. Segue.
Time.
Oh, the November edition of the Auto Intel Report, authored by our very own Steve Greenfield here on screen, just came out, and you have a few announcements to make that I think Kyle and I got excited when we read it this morning. But tell us about what the big deal is in the November issue and what you're really excited about.
Yeah, I think this is more of an evolution than anything. But it struck me really, at your conference here. When was that? Like a month and a half ago, where first time back with a bunch of industry folks, and folks come up and say, I really like this idea of you raising money from dealers and investing in early stage automotive technology companies. But how do I participate? How do I participate? And so we're focusing on what I would call like democratizing the ability for people in the industry to invest in early stage auto tech. That's really it. So it's getting away from the core fund, which we still have, but also, on a deal by deal basis, when we find hot companies that the fund's going to invest in, circulate those if we've got availability, and let people in the industry step up and invest directly into individual companies.
Well, it's huge this is something that real estate has done really, really well at, kind of democratize investment opportunities for low-level investors, people that are just kind of like dipping their toe in. But I think this actually does two things for the industry, in my opinion, from my read. Is one, like, if you are that, hey, I want to tiptoe into investment, you also get the advantage of knowing what's on the horizon a lot better. Like, you get that deep level learning of going, okay, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? What problem are they solving? And seeing it from like the ground level, and not some sales pitch 3 years after they raised 3 rounds of funding and you finally saw them at Digital Dealer, right? And so it's, I think it actually does two pieces. One, it allows people to get in and invest in auto, which keeps them more sticky in auto career pathing. And two, it allows auto to innovate faster because more people start to see early stage tech. So kudos, snaps all.
Well, I can't really take credit for it. You look at what's happening with fractional ownership and fractional participation right now. You've got, everything from Masterworks, where I can buy a fraction of a Van Gogh, to, Rally Road, which allows me to buy a fraction of a Porsche. There's collectibles, Batman comics, Kobe Bryant, rookie cards, etc. So same sort of notion. It's like, let's lean into this and see what the audience wants to do. But I've heard anecdotally, and I'm very interested to hear sort of what your viewers think. But I've heard anecdotally that people love, the taste of red meat, right? They fancy themselves gunslingers, right? Let me pick off the ones I think are going to be the winners, and then let me get a taste of this. And I think we can build a community around this. I think it'll be great for folks to figure out who else is invested in this early stage company, and I think it's going to be really energizing to the industry.
I think it's already energizing to the industry what you've been doing, and people are seeing, like, you're just seeing more and more dealers becoming investors, right? And I think, like you said, like there's this, the next layer is looking at them being like, oh, wow, that looks like a lot of fun, right? Especially when like some of these companies now are moving forward, right? And you're reporting on it so well. So you see, even like I always look at RoboTire, and that gets me really excited. It's a company, if you haven't seen, I wish we had a clip, and it's like these robot arms remove tires and they put them back on, because, my background at the wheel repair, I'm like, oh, if only we had that thing. And so I think there's another layer of people looking at the early movers and shakers and saying, like, just how can I move closer? You're providing them an opportunity to move closer. And so now what I think is going to happen is you're going to kind of like make the circle bigger, and there's going to be this third layer, right, that maybe consider being, and you're just broadening, and just every time that circle gets bigger, just proportionally more people come into the ecosystem. And look, everybody, with auto changing as much as it is, and as much money as there is floating around automotive right now, like, you giving it a channel to run into that's productive, not only for the individuals, but for the industry as a whole. Man, you know how we roll at ASOTU. Like, we're all about dealer funded, dealer backed, dealer, priorities being pushed to the front. So I'm excited.
And holograms.
Hey, I'd like to, one of the things that we haven't talked about actually in your Intel report that's kind of been in there, and it's a little bit toward the back half, but I think you did, it was probably like 7 or 8 months ago that you initially started doing this, but you indexed a lot of like mobility type companies or third-party marketplaces back to, was it something it was like back to 2019. Is that right? Mm-hmm. That you index them to a 0. Yeah. And, for me I'd love to hear kind of like what you're seeing in the trend data on companies that are more stable and how auto is reacting to the broader market. Because I'm sure there's some insights, because for me, they sometimes just kind of sit there, but and it's just like, you've got to perceive, but what are your perceptions out of those indexes that people might want to be looking at and paying attention to as they see these publicly traded companies indexed against broader markets?
No, it's great. Yeah. I mean, it started off with, if you remember, I think we shared, I used to show this proportional, what they call a tree map of the market cap of Carvana versus all the other dealer groups, right? Which a year ago, Carvana was sitting at 50 or 60 billion dollars. And, they've really, been down 95% or something. So that chart has changed. But also the other one that always resonates is if you look at all the publicly traded companies in the world that are in mobility, right? Automotive, dealer groups, parts suppliers, whatever. And you look at all of them versus Tesla. Tesla's sitting over here at one point, like at $1.2 trillion. It was kind of almost the same distribution. You had Tesla over here on the left with, a market cap that, it could have vacuumed up effectively every single other publicly traded mobility company on the face of the earth, which, after I built those, and people always like had this interesting reaction to it, just to put that proportional scale. I was like, okay, well, let me start tracking, to Kyle's point, how these shares have performed over the last 15 years, 10 to 15 years. And like, how has that performed, those baskets and sub indices versus the S&P 500, some benchmark, right? That all of us could invest in. And it's very interesting. You look at some of the indices like autonomy and electrification. Many of these companies went public through SPACs. They've entirely fallen from grace, right? Yeah. If you want to go buy, any of the public companies in electrification, infrastructure, and autonomy, you can do it pennies on the dollar compared to what they were worth. But you look at some of the segments have stood up really, really well. The manufacturers, up until very recently, the publicly traded dealer groups were doing very well compared to the S&P 500 over the last 10 or 15 years. So it's interesting for me to watch. What I've thought about is like, is there a future for us to think about building a derivative product? Meaning, if I only want to buy dealer groups, I could buy them all with one stock, right? An ETF, exchange traded fund, and then you could either go long or short on dealer groups, B2B marketplaces.
Mhm.
You could go short on OEMs, right? If you really believe, like, you know, the OEMs were going to come under pressure, then you could like go short. If you believe that they were going to make all this new money off of subscription services, that's all going to be 100% profit margins, you could go long on the OEMs.
Yeah.
But so
Oh,
that's the idea. I don't know quite what to do with it. I report on it every month. I want to eventually make it interactive, like a stock tracker, and then people can build their portfolios. But I don't quite know what. So if any of the viewers have ideas about what I should do with this thing, I'm all ears. All ears.
Yeah, you heard it here first. All right, now, thanks
Let's
for giving
do
us
something with
another
it.
thing to think about. Yeah. One more thing. Hey, before we go today, I want to get your thoughts on two current issues. First, rate increase. What do you think the rate increase is going to do for us this last quarter?
Well, I mean, just continue to slow down the economy, right? That's the idea, is like inflation is like out of control. You know, the Fed has said and signaled that they're going to continue to increase rates until they get inflation under control. And we'll see how successful they are. Right now, it just doesn't seem like it's slowing down at all. Prices keep increasing for a multitude of reasons. But I mean, I'm not an economist, but I don't know that they have any choice. I mean, you know, when goods are increasing by 10% year over year, everything from, you know, Big Macs to homes to cars are increasing at this rate that, you know, is squeezing out the average consumer from affordability. And then the consumer has to like tap on the brakes and they stop buying used cars, and we see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Last question.
Yeah.
Don't want to get political.
Stump the chump, baby. Stump the chump.
Stump the chump. Well, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk buying Twitter? And now that whole shenanigans. What do you, because like how well, because
put him in the spotlight.
No, it's good. Listen, listen, I'll tell you what. So go online and read the last earnings call transcript, Tesla's earnings call transcript, and I just want to like watch my words here. Just read an earnings call transcript. I mean, the guy is just like not normal. I'll just say that the guy's not normal. And you know, I don't know how someone. You know, I know he doesn't sleep. He has unlimited bandwidth, it seems. So, but he's trying to get rockets to go to Mars, electrify the US with wall chargers and you know, solar panels and cars. And now he's going to also be able to have 20 direct reports at Twitter and turn that business around. It just seems like at some point there's got to be a day of reckoning. It's the stock market, the Wall Street analysts have to say, well, hold on, dude, you're stretching yourself too thin. And it's just like, I just think it's a battle that he doesn't need to fight.
I wonder about the thing myself.
That's so well said. So well said. Now, however,
it seems like Twitter's a philosophical thing for him, right? And he's even said it like I didn't buy it to make money, right? I didn't expect it to be easy. I didn't buy it to make money. But to your point, I don't understand what magic potion there is where you can have all these things going at once and still be moving forward. And look, it's hard to argue, like, the rockets are doing their thing. Starlink's doing their thing, right? It's like Tesla's doing its thing. And like they all have bumps and bruises. But I mean,
there's one thing though to keep in mind that so Tesla has zero marketing budget.
That's
Tesla's awareness has been built on the back of the crazy man tweeting.
Yep.
So there's something to it. I mean, he knows that his channel of acquisition, his channel of awareness has been built on Twitter. And therefore, so there may be bigger things afoot here.
Yeah. Well, I would say that your customer acquisition costs have to be spread out over those separate all of the companies and their brand attention that you get from building those companies across verticals and then pushing that back to each company and see what now your customer acquisition cost is, because I know it's not associated with a line item on marketing, but there's definitely a lot of marketing being done.
No doubt. Amen.
Well, there you go. We've got from holographs or in the car hologram to the Auto Intel report. Everyone can invest in tech now, to Elon Musk buying Twitter. If that is not a Thursday, I don't know what is. Steve Greenfield, thank you so much.